Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Assistant Chief Kevin Deese of the Houston Police Department. This critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Houston on November 23rd, 2022. You're about to see video footage that is related to this incident. HPD conducts thorough investigations into officer-involved shootings. These typically require investigators to interview multiple witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. It is important to note that we're in the very early stages of the investigation, and we continue to review additional evidence as it is collected and analyzed. The videos you're about to see can be graphic and may be difficult to watch. These videos may also contain strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. At approximately 10:50 p.m., two Houston police officers were dispatched to a hold-up panic alarm call at a residence in the 5500 block of August Hill. After ringing the doorbell multiple times, officers began a perimeter search of the residence. While in the backyard, officers observed a man inside the home approach the window and point a gun at the officers. Both officers discharged their duty weapons. The man in the house was later discovered to be the homeowner. No one was injured during this incident.
Northeast.
All right, so that little robotic voice you heard in the background that said Northeast. I'm going to say that's his portable radio that he is turning on. So, a couple things. Some of the newer radios that are coming out, when you turn them on, or when you start to turn channels, it'll say what channel you're on, however you program it to do. You know, you can say channel 1, channel 2, or the channels or talk groups could be labeled as, you know, Northeast or by name or something, whatever. And the portable radio, when you change a channel or turn it on, it'll say out loud what channel or talk group that you are on. Pretty cool feature. But why is his radio off? So when you think about police driving around, there's two radios. There's one in the car that stays in the car, right? Like it's mounted to the console. And then there's the one that's on you. If you've ever played around with radios before and you've been close to each other with the radio and you go to key your radio up, that other radio that's close by can cause feedback. It makes a loud kind of noise. Have you ever been to a concert, to a bar, and there's a band playing and they're doing sound checks and they're trying to get the microphones worked out? You can, at that beginning stage, hear some of that feedback that occurs when the microphones are too close to each other or something like that. So a lot of officers will turn their portable radio completely off while they're inside the car. And then when they get out of the car, they turn that radio on. I'm not the biggest fan of that method. You can turn your portable radio all the way down and not get that feedback. Turning that radio completely off, I think, sets you up for failure, especially if you dismount from the car and before you ever have a chance to turn it on, boom, something pops off and something happens. And when you get into fight or flight, your forebrain's not thinking correctly. Midbrain's trying to take over. And so you could find yourself trying to cue your radio and talk into it, but the damn thing's not even turned on. So having the radio completely turned off is a bad tactic, in my opinion. You can turn that volume down low enough to where you don't get any feedback. And then when you get out of the car, something pops off and happens, and you go to key your radio up, you're going to get out just fine. You may not be able to hear anything very well because you have the volume turned down, but you press that button and start talking, other people are going to hear you. So don't ever turn your radio all the way off. setting yourself up for failure.
What'd your slip say?
We got automatic panic alert. What'd y'all get?
Hold up, panic alarm.
They must get everything on the panel.
Probably, sir.
So we have police and fire here because the alarm is indicating, one, there's a medical alert, and then two, there's a holdup alarm. You would be surprised about the amount of times false alarms occur. In fact, false alarms occur so much that there are many towns and counties in this nation that will fine businesses and people for all the false alarms that they have. There's businesses, with commercial properties that get fines hundreds of dollars for false alarms. Sometimes the equipment is faulty; it just goes out over time. There's been times where a business, the panic alarm, the holdup alarm, will go off multiple times in one day. It's just, things break, right? Things happen. But it happens more than you think. Lots of false alarms occur on a daily basis. And unfortunately, that can lead to complacency, especially if it's one of those properties where the fucking alarm is always going off, right? You go there 2 times one night, 1 time the next night, skip a day, 3 times, that 4th night, whatever. You can find people getting complacent and be like, it's that damn alarm going off again, a piece of shit, they need to fix that damn thing, and people not taking the call seriously. Because it's, it's like crying wolf, right? Like, you do it so many times, people are going to start not take it serious. That can be a dangerous thing to occur. You don't ever want to get complacent with those false alarm calls. They need to be treated as if they're real, live, hot calls all the time. That can be hard to do, especially when you know for sure that it's a faulty alarm. But anyway, they get 2 different things on this thing. It's a panic alarm and it's a medical thing going on. So, is it we know right now that it's a false alarm, but in this moment, they have no way of knowing if it's a false alarm or not. It could be a scenario where the homeowner inside ran up to their alarm panel and started pressing buttons when they were attacked by someone, or they were in the middle of being attacked and they were able to just smash the board right there in front of them and hit a bunch of buttons. That could be something that was going on. It could be someone who was having a medical emergency and was very frantic and pressed buttons, and now they've passed out and they're unconscious and unable to respond to the door. So there's a few different reasons on why these alarms could have been activated and why no one is coming to the door. So these guys have to act as if something is going on, and that's obviously what they're doing. They're checking, seeing if they can get anybody to come to the door, looking through the sides right there to see if they see broken glass, anything that would indicate maybe there's a home invasion occurring or anything like that.
Thank you, sir.
I will say, let me back it up.
Sir?
I will say that because a holdup alarm was activated, that I think it would be important to have the firefighters stay at their truck instead of walking up to this front door and milling around, because you don't know who's going to come through that damn door. And firefighters, they're unarmed. Now, there may be some firefighters who carry a gun concealed, but as far as their official duties and everything, they're not issued a gun. And so they need to be protected. They need to be kept back just in case somebody pops out that door and decides to start shooting. Alright, let me back this up because you're about to see something I'm about to talk about too. Alright, so we can see in through here pretty fucking clear, right? We can see the AC units. Now when I try to pause it, it gets all fuzzy, but you can see in there pretty damn well through this gate, right? Window, 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 maybe another window down there. Here's this side of the house, AC unit, little shrubs and stuff like that. We see perfectly clear through this fucking gate. And then boom, this stupid fucking shit. Oh my god. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? You're going to show us the footage of him looking through the gate. We can all see what's through that fucking gate. But the moment he opens that gate, you're going to fucking remove the footage? You smoking fucking crack? Like, what the fuck? I swear, man, some agencies, when it comes to this redaction bullshit, they are on some fucking bullshit. Some of them are. They really are. Makes zero fucking sense. Please, help me make it sense.
That's right.
So what do we miss within that recording? Well, let's back it up. Let's see how much of a time gap there is first. Alright, so we are at 23:01:58. 23:01:58.
That's right.
We're now at 23:02:58. So a good minute transpired between that gate opening and then this occurring. So what happened in that time frame? The homeowner, what we now know is the homeowner, but from their perspective, what they saw, or what this officer saw, was a person come to the window with a gun and point it at them, and then they returned fire. So that's this officer's perspective. He's looking around, a person comes to the window, points a gun at him, and the officer fires, and they take off running. In that moment, they had no idea who it was. But we now know it's the homeowner. Oh look, that enclosed space that, you know, we're not supposed to see. Alright, so we see this officer is armed with a pistol. Now, alright, so I got two gripes here. I should have said this one gripe at the beginning, but two gripes. One, they got a pistol. And then secondly, this pistol does not have a weapon-mounted light on it. So we'll start with the first gripe, lack of a rifle. So they're going to a call. It is a hold-up alarm, panic alarm. Like, hey, something's happening. We need the fucking police. What would warrant that? I don't know. Maybe a fucking home invasion, something like that, robbery. I don't know. Some bad shit, right? That in of itself, in my opinion, means that when these officers get out, they need to have rifles out. Because they could potentially be going into a fight. If you know that you're going to a gunfight, or there's a high probability, there's a high risk that there could be a gunfight, you bring a rifle. A rifle is a whole lot better than a pistol. It is more accurate, and the terminal ballistics are night and day difference. Unfortunately, that ends up being one of my biggest gripes when it comes to officer-involved shooting videos. Now, some stuff, it starts out as an unknown risk, and then it very rapidly escalates. Hey, that happens. But when you know you're going to a high-risk call, there's no excuse. No excuse whatsoever. You need to have your rifle out on a high-risk call. And this, to me, is a high-risk call. Unfortunately, that is a training issue and an administrative led culture issue within agencies. The training issue is they're just not being trained properly, not having a proper fighting mindset instilled in them because of a couple of reasons. One, shitty ass instructors who don't need to be instructing, and then two, unrealistic training that is perpetuated by unrealistic safety rules on the shooting range. The bullshit culture thing is a lack of good leadership. Good leadership having a good foundation of knowledge, a good foundation of training and realistic experience within training and real world. They're just a lot of admin people are fucking knee pad owners. That's the nicest way I could say it. A lot of admin. The only thing that they are good at and know how to use is knee pads. The other stuff is completely over their fucking head. They don't get into tactics. They don't get into training and stuff like that. So that's part of the issue. And then the culture thing, that comes from bad leadership. For example, agencies that to avoid the public calling in and complaining to the mayor and the city council or to the judge executive or who the fuck ever is in charge of that governmental body, to avoid people calling in complaining about cops walking around with rifles and shotguns. Oh my god, it's so fucking scary. In order to limit that, these police chiefs or these sheriffs will implement bullshit policies and say, well, if you get your shotgun or rifle out, you're going to have to write a report on why you did that. And officers who already have to write a bunch of stupid fucking reports don't want to do that. So what do? They just leave the rifle and shotgun in the car because they don't want to write a fucking report on it. Well, those same bullshit ideologies are being carried over to some places now with tasers and their handguns. So some agencies, when an officer pulls their taser, they have to go write a report on why they pulled that taser out of their holster. Don't even have to fucking shoot anybody with the taser. Just the mere act of pulling it out of the holster, you have to go write a fucking report on it. And some places are now mandating the officers have to write a report on why they pulled their handgun out of their holster. And they do this to handcuff the officers, to make them stop pulling these things out of their holsters so that things don't happen. And the only reason these administrators don't want things to happen is because they don't want to fucking deal with it. They don't want to have to deal with them having to do paperwork. They don't have to be called into the chief's office. They don't have to want to go before the mayor or the city council and answer blah, blah, blah. So they just make these bullshit fucking policies that handcuff the officers. So, different reasons into why you don't see officers getting out with rifles. What particular reason is going on here with HPD, I have no idea. I don't know shit about Houston police or their government or anything like that. Don't know anything about it. But those are some reasons why you see officers neglecting to get rifles out in some places. Alright, second gripe. His pistol does not have a weapon-mounted light. This is, in my opinion, a big no-no. All guns, all fighting guns should have weapon-mounted lights on them. Even if you predominantly work daytime, your pistol should have a weapon-mounted light. Just because you work daytime doesn't mean you may not find yourself having to stay over for overtime and then be working at night. Doesn't mean that you may be going into a structure that has no windows or windows are covered and is a low-light environment. Or you're in a subterranean environment where there is no fucking windows. There is no light getting down there into the basement. So that is... Why does he not have a weapon-mounted light? It could be an agency thing. It could be the agency just doesn't have enough funds. Excuse me. The agency just doesn't have enough funds to equip people with weapon-mounted lights and have to buy the holsters for them and everything. I've seen from the other HPD videos where officers do have weapon-mounted lights. So it could be a a choice thing. Like they could be able to choose whether or not they want to have weapon-mounted lights or not. It could be that this officer normally works daytime, but he picked up some overtime for the holiday, and he's just shit out of luck on this call or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind why he does not have a weapon-mounted light. All I can say is it is fucking wrong that he does not have a weapon-mounted light. It is, at time of recording, it is now 2023. Of course, when this happened, it's pretty damn close to 2023. It's fucking right before Thanksgiving of 2022. There's no reason why fighting pistols should not have weapon-mounted lights on them. Like I said, all fighting guns should have weapon-mounted lights on them. They give you so much more advantage in low-light conditions. And when you think about gunfights predominantly happen in low-light to no-light conditions. Yes, there are some gunfights that happen during the day, but a lot of them occur at night. So it just makes more sense to have a weapon-mounted light on the gun. When you have a weapon-mounted light on the gun, you are then able to keep both hands on the gun with a traditional two-handed grip and minimize or reduce movement in that overall gun so that you are more accurate with that gun when you decide to make it go bang. When you are trying to hold a flashlight in one hand and then hold the gun in the other, you're shooting one-handed. And when you're shooting one-handed with a handgun, you're slashing your accuracy in half because the only 2 points of contact you have on that handgun to make it more accurate is your two hands. That's it. And when you take that one hand away, you're slashing that accuracy in half. So all fighting guns need to have weapon-mounted lights.
Yeah, you said shots fired. Go ahead and use this to check out with you.
Pointed the gun right at. Fuck, man. I saw him. He walked right to the window.
Your late section units signing on it check out with 22 and 50 in August. Jill.
I'll do one more email.
Let's see if there's any DMS out there.
Yeah, just roll lace out here.
What's this have to do?
I got you.
Okay, so engine 103 already at the location.
Yeah, they're here. We good. Guy came to.
So you see all this switching he's having to do. He's having to take his flashlight out of his hand, tuck it into what is either going to be his armpit or his neck to hold that thing in place to have light directed down to where the threat was at, and then operate the radio. If you got a weapon-mounted light on the gun, wherever you point that fucking gun at is where you're going to have light pointed at. Again, it just makes more sense to have a weapon-mounted light.
The window and pointed the gun right at us.
That's your. So to reset your radio, need a Kingwood sergeant head that way.
So she said reset your radio. So that tells me that he hit the emergency button on his radio. And when you hit the emergency button on your radio will continuously broadcast, basically broadcast an emergency signal. And that will cause other radios to, on their screen, you'll see a little flashing symbol, like a little banner across the bottom that's like orange or red colored, indicating, hey, someone's broadcasting emergency. And then on their screen, it'll flash whatever your radio designator is. Now that depends on where you're at, how that radio is going to show as a designator. So for these agencies that have take-home radios, a lot of those radios will show up as that officer's name or unit number. It may just say 212, it may say Henderson 212, or it may just show the deck ID for that radio. And if it's going to be like that, that's probably indicative that that radio is a shareable radio, meaning it's not assigned to one particular person. It stays in a radio room and it gets checked out each shift. And so when that happens, all you see is a string of numbers. You just see, blah, 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 blah. You don't know who the fuck it's assigned to. And in order to make that function turn off, you basically have to take the battery off the radio and then put it back on. Do a hard reset. That's the way to make it stop broadcasting that thing. So you'll see this officer do that.
1.0394 24th DO3 Sergeant out there, August Hill, turning to is this something about shot fired activities on scene.
Now he's trying to do like this is fucked up to me. Like, you should not be performing tasks like this while holding a gun in your hand. The dispatcher, I mean, this is a call. That's a hot call. It's not been cleared yet. The dispatcher, you can fucking wait. You can deal with that little symbol flashing up on your screen until they clear the call. Personally, if I was him, I wouldn't even fuck with this yet. There's still a person that they have not made contact with. They don't know what the fuck's going on. Whatever. As far as I'm concerned, this is still a distress going on. The dispatcher is just going to have to sit there and fucking deal with the fact their screen is flashing emergency symbols and all that shit. So I wouldn't even fuck with the radio. I would have kept it the way it was. If I was going to be changing the battery or disconnecting the battery and putting it back in, I would have holstered the gun first. But that would not make sense in this call because you just had a person that you don't know who it is point a gun at you. This is still a potential active threat. Why are you going to holster your gun just to do this? So what he's got going on is completely useless. The dispatcher can just sit there and fucking deal with it.
You got him?
Northeast.
So you hear that radio say northeast.
Northeast.
Patrol dispatch, northeast dispatch, Houston PD. So on this right here, if the emergency thing was activated, you would probably see at the top or bottom of this screen a little yellow bar, or not yellow bar, an orange colored bar or a red bar across the bottom. It'd either be solid color or it'd be flashing to alert you that there's an emergency broadcast going on. And whatever his radio ID is, I don't know what it would be, on other people's radios, they would see that be flashing on their screen on the radio. They'd see radio number, 212 or whatever this guy's last name is. They'd see that popping up on there. And what I talked about earlier, when you change channels or turn the radio on these newer radios, it'll say what channel you're on. And we can see that it's on Northeast Dispatch.
That's him.
Radios do a lot of cool shit now. They really do. A lot of them have a lot of cool capabilities. It's night and day between the old days of analog and now you got digital. The radios today are capable of a lot. And unfortunately, there's a lot of places that just don't fully utilize those capabilities. They might as well still just be operating on an analog system.
What's going on? Flashlights in my windows and everything. So you come and you point a gun right at us? Sir, do you not see
All right.
all these lights? I was in my bed. I was asleep. We rang the doorbell.
I was asleep.
All
right, so this is where I guess I can start talking about home defense. And realistically, this is where a lot of gun owners make it bad for the rest of us. Because they just don't have any fucking common sense. There was actually, oh man, where was it at? Shit, it might have been Texas too. There was an officer, it was like within the last month or so, who, him and someone else, they responded to a call about a house where it was a suspected burglary going on. They get there, And the officer sees a woman in through the window with a gun. He fires at her, hits her, she dies, and then this officer ends up later being convicted of I want to say manslaughter. Let me do a quick search on this real quick. Let me get my phone out here. Let's see here. Officer convicted of manslaughter shooting through window. I'll do that as a search. I don't know anything else how to search for it. Yeah. So this is funny. Al Jazeera. I don't know why fucking Al Jazeera is doing a story on this, but U.S. jury convicts Texas police officer in fatal home shooting. Former Texas police officer Aaron Dean testifies in his own defense on December 12, 2022, as he faced murder charges for the killing of, I don't know how to pronounce this, Atiana. It's spelled Atatiana. Whatever, Jefferson in Fort Worth, Texas. A former Texas police officer has been convicted of manslaughter on Thursday for fatally shooting a black woman through a rear window of her home in 2019. A rare conviction of an officer for killing someone also armed with a gun. Jurors found Aaron Dean not guilty of murder, but convicted him of manslaughter in the death of Miss Jefferson. The conviction comes more than 3 years after the white Fort Worth officer shot the 28-year-old woman while responding to a call about an open front door. Dean, 38, faces up to 20 years in prison on the manslaughter conviction. He would face up to life in prison if convicted of murder. The judge told jurors Wednesday that they could also consider a manslaughter charge. The Tarrant County jury returned the verdict after more than 13 hours of deliberation over 2 days. That followed 6 days of testimony and arguments in which the primary dispute was whether Dean knew Jefferson was armed when he shot her. Dean testified that he saw her weapon, while prosecutors alleged the evidence showed otherwise. The case was unusual for the relative speed with which, amid public outrage, the Fort Worth Police Department released video footage of the shooting that took place on October 12, 2019, and arrested Dean. He completed the police academy the year before and quit the force without speaking to investigators. Since then, the case had been repeatedly postponed amid Lawlerly wrangling, the terminal illness of Dean's lead lawyer, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Dean shot Jefferson after police received a call on a non-emergency line. Al Jazeera reporter Tyler Hicks recently spoke to the neighbor who made the call, James Smith, a retired U.S. Army veteran. He told Al Jazeera that he noticed that the door to Jefferson's house was open and her lights were on, so he wanted to ensure that she was okay. After Smith learned what happened, he said he fought to raise awareness about Jefferson's death against the advice of some in his community. A pastor reportedly told him, "You need to let God handle it. Let someone pick up the torch." "It's been 3 years," Smith replied, "and no one's picked it up yet." He feels frustrated by the delays in the murder trial. Jefferson had been playing video games on the night of the shooting with her nephew, and it emerged at trial that they left the doors open to vent smoke from hamburgers the boy burned. Body cam footage showed that Dean and a second officer who responded to the call didn't identify themselves as police at the house. Dean and Officer Carol Darch testified that they thought the house might have been burglarized and quietly moved into the fenced-off backyard looking for signs of forced entry. There, Dean, whose gun was drawn, fired a single shot through the window a split second after shouting at Jefferson, who was inside, to show her hands. Dean testified that he had no choice but to shoot when he saw Jefferson pointing the barrel of a gun directly at him. But under questioning from prosecutors, he acknowledged numerous errors, again and again conceding that actions he took before and after the shooting were more bad police work. Darch's back was to the window when Dean shot, but she testified that he never mentioned seeing a gun before he pulled the trigger and didn't say anything about the weapon as they rushed in to search the house. Jefferson's 8-year-old nephew, Zion Carr, was in the room with his aunt when she was shot. Zion testified that Jefferson took out her gun, believing there was an intruder in the backyard, but he offered contradictory accounts of whether she pointed the pistol out the window. All right, so I'll stop there. That particular incident, I do want to do a video on, do a review on it, but there's some similarities between that case and this video right here. Police go into a call at the request of someone else. In this particular case, they're going there at the request of the alarm company. In this other case at Fort Worth, they're going at the call or at the request of someone calling in saying they see an open door. Police officers get out. An officer, in both these cases, they see a person through the window with a gun pointing at them, and then they fire. At the Fort Worth case, he actually hit the person. In this case right here in Houston, he didn't hit the guy. In Fort Worth, this officer is convicted of fucking manslaughter, and as far as I know, right now, there's nothing being done with this officer. Very, very, very similar cases, but obviously way different outcomes. Now, what if this Houston officer did shoot this guy? Would the same thing happen? I don't know. There's a good possibility that the same thing would not happen. It's a good possibility that a jury could come back and say no true bill. Or a jury could say, yeah, there is something with that. And a grand jury say, hey, go ahead and go forward. And then it goes to a jury trial. And then they could say, yep, this officer is guilty of murder. Or they could say, nope, not guilty, nothing wrong at all. That is why I don't support the ideology of it's better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. That being tried by 12 random ass people who are too fucking stupid to get off jury duty, that's scary. I've been called to jury duty twice. And each time, the people that I was in there with, man, oh my God. You talk about some dumb motherfuckers. I mean fucking stupid. And, which when they found out that I was law enforcement, I was not kept for jury duty. But just to think that some of the people I listened to while they were asking all these general questions, to think that those people would remain on a case, holy fuck! Like, it was a scary thing, and it really was. That opened my eyes to jury trials. Like I remember this one guy talking. I mean, this dude was he was ate up, man. He was a fucking soup sandwich. This stupid son of a bitch referred to our right to bear arms as the First Amendment. Son of a bitch didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And this son of a bitch was going to go fucking make a decision on someone's life on a trial. I don't know what trials he ever sat on, or if he sat on any of them at all. But holy shit, like, they kept him. Like, I got dismissed, but they kept him. I was thinking, man, I fucking feel bad for whoever this motherfucker weighs his decision on, because this is a dumb son of a bitch. Fucking stupid. But yeah, so that's one thing I don't like about the legal system is a jury of your peers. They're not people. These people are not my peers. I would not associate with people like this on a friendly level. So that part of it I don't like. And you will see, if you really look into criminal cases and stuff like that, you will see that in one area of the country, someone gets convicted of murder, but under almost the exact fucking same circumstances somewhere else, there's no true bill. They're let go. So there are lots of cases where there's a miscarriage of justice, in my opinion. And and it all boils down to a jury of your peers. So in Fort Worth, that officer, I think he was hung out to dry. I think that was a bunch of anti-police cocksuckers who did him in. And let's be honest, it was a white cop shooting a black woman, and racism is the biggest thing right now. Had this black male officer shot this white guy, would it have gone anywhere because of the racism issue? Nope, wouldn't have gone nowhere. Would I have had a problem with this officer shooting this guy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This officer is there because of a panic alarm. Anything could be going on inside that house. He has no way of knowing if this dude is the homeowner or not. All he sees is a person through a window pointing a gun at him. This could be the dude who committed the fucking home invasion and just killed the homeowner and is now wanting to kill a cop. That could be the scenario. So, talking about home defense. If you see flashlights outside your house, I'm not going to say it's not the case at all, but there's a very high chance that it's not some criminal walking around looking for shit to steal. They don't use super bright ass fucking flashlights. If they use flashlights, it's going to be some little cheap ass flashlight that doesn't produce a whole lot of light anyway. But even then, they're still not going to be fucking walking around with white lights. For the most part. So you see flashlights outside your house. That does not mean that it's criminals walking around outside your house. The most likely scenario is as a first responder. It could either be the police walking around, or it could be someone from the fire department or a rescue department walking around. Looking for a victim. Looking for a suspect. If you are awakened from your sleep and you wake up and you walk through your house and you see flashlights outside your house and your first instinct is to get your gun and point it at people who are outside, you got a fucked up mindset. You're not trained enough. You're a walking liability. And you are the type of person who is giving the anti-gun crowd more ammo to use against us. What should you do if you see flashlights outside your house? Well, one, don't fucking go outside because you don't know what's out there. You can gauge what's going on just based off the light. Like if you see the light just, dancing around and looking, you can safely watch from the confines of your home to maybe get a better idea of what's going on outside. If the flashlight comes up to the window and it starts looking around inside the house, well, you can most certainly back up and stay out of the light so that you don't get seen. At which point, if someone's that close to your house and is looking in through your window, you should be making a call to 911. And you should also get vocal at that point. Challenge who's out there. Yell it out. Say, who's out there? Well, if it's a criminal, that light's going to turn off, most likely, or you may hear a, oh shit, and you may hear the sounds of someone running away. If it's the police, guess what you're going to hear? Police department or sheriff's office, whatever. Now, at that point, you're not going to know exactly if they really are the police. So that's why you should still call 911. And the dispatcher's going to know, obviously, right? Like, yeah, oh yes, this is dispatcher such and such. Yes, we have officers at your house because you had an alarm go off. Then you're going to know it's the police outside your house. So this guy, this homeowner, although he was acting in his self-defense because he did not what was going on outside his house. He saw lights. He was also negligent in what he was doing. So I think that the homeowner himself should be held criminally liable for pointing the gun at the officer. I don't know what Texas has, but here in Kentucky, that would be wanton endangerment. If Texas has the same similar charge, his ass needs to be charged with wanton endangerment. There's no fucking need for you to be pointing a fucking gun at someone through your window just because they're outside with a flashlight. You cannot articulate that you feared for your life in that instant. So like I said, us gun owners are our worst fucking enemy. People like this are who give the anti-gun crowd more ammo to come after our fucking rights. They get to use this and say, whoa, this guy had the gun for self-defense, but he pointed at the police. All right. Enough of that ranting. Moving on.
Look, you hit the panic alarm. So, okay. Are you okay? I got you. I understand. Are you okay? Are you okay? I walked to my kitchen. Are you okay, sir? Oh yeah. Okay. What's wrong? You can't walk to us and point a gun at us, sir. I didn't know Sir, you're not that. I understand, but that's extremely dangerous. Your panic alarm went off. Are you okay? Your panic alarm.
We all are here because an alarm went off. You had an automatic medical alert and your panic alarm apparently is going off.
That's what we're here. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything. I was asleep.
Are you the only one in the house?
So this is from the supporting officer.
I know they still, like, they got cameras, so somebody see us.
Fucking, oh, that kills me.
Shot fired.
That's outside. 6-2, you out there?
Hold it, that's outside. 625, shots fired, shots fired. Somebody was inside?
Shots fired.
Crazy.
Is that with you?
I ain't so bad, I just...
Anybody thinking you is planning on the check out with 22 and 52 in August? Deal?
Probably get one more email out here too.
Yeah, they said you're dealers out there? Yes, slowly.
I'll watch this side of the door. You got that side.
Okay, so, engine 103 already at the location. Yeah, they're here. We're good. Gonna check to the window for the minutes. Thank you. Did you visit your radio? Need a Kingwood sergeant head that way? Sergeant out there. August 2, turning to his South Party interviews on scene. Pass down the Sergeant and Brown.
Sir, you listen, sir?
22, you're going to get another unit beside him so I can get a roll call.
So he at least did the smart thing when he walked out the house and had both his arms out. So that's good thing on his part for that. I just wish he would have had some better thinking while he was inside his house and, you know, not point his fucking gun at someone through a window just because someone was outside with a flashlight. Yeah.
Hold on, sir. Sir, what's up, sir? You live here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, repeat, sir. You got out.
What's going on?
What's going on is you're a fucking idiot.
Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing, Sergeant Hines? You okay?
Yeah, I apologize. I was in bed asleep. I had no clue about what was going on. Okay. And all of a sudden I heard my doorbell ringing and I wouldn't stop. And so, what the hell? Somebody's trying to see if I'm... And I walk out and I got hit with a flashlight in my eyes. And I didn't know what was going on. I had a pistol in my hand and the pistol's inside the house. Okay. And I drew up like this and then they disappeared and I walked through the house and I came up to the front door and looked out and I mean there's lights everywhere.
There's lights everywhere. No shit. Oops. Alright, I hate when the damn thing does this. Sometimes it skips to the next video, but I can't back out of it. So I'll end it here. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.